So it's no mystery that triathlon requires a lot of gear. There's a lot of videos out there that are going to tell you the 5 most important pieces of kit that you need to have in your gear bag, and they're all right. You know, you obviously need to have your tri kit, your nutrition, your bike pumps, all those things that you're going to really think about. But there are a lot of pieces of gear that you might not think about until it's too late. They're things that I've learned from triathlon since my first triathlon nearly 20 years ago, that I have picked up along the way that are all really important pieces of kit that I carry in my gear every single race. So let's go. The first piece of gear that I carry that's super important: zip ties and electrical tape. They're a catch-all. They are super useful and they're super necessary when they're necessary. Zip ties are really basic. You know, something breaks, a shoelace breaks, your race belt breaks before the race. I have saved my race, or basically made a race belt out of zip ties to get through a race. It didn't feel great, but it worked and I didn't have another option. Electrical tape, same thing. It's not always something you're going to need every single race, but when you do come across something that you're going to need, it's really useful. Electrical tape's super useful if you don't have a bento box on your bike. You can tape your nutrition across your top tube. Super useful. Also, if you use any type of race notes, it's not as common in triathlon, but sometimes if you have any type of race notes, you put on your top tube, you tape it down, you're good to go. But zip ties and electrical tape, super important. And again, they're something that you're probably not going to need every single triathlon, but when you're in a pinch, when a shoelace breaks right before the race, when your race belt breaks right before the race, even simple things like I've had little tabs on my helmet break and I've just had this like a loose piece of like the loose strap flapping around. It's super obnoxious. I just put a little piece of electrical tape in there just to tape it up, just to keep it from bugging me and rubbing my neck a lot. So super useful, something you need to have in your kit: electrical tape and zip ties. Put it in your gear bag. The number 2 thing, and you probably already have these, but baby wipes. Some type of baby wipes. For the obvious, but maybe not the so obvious. More often than not, the porta potties, let's be honest, are not in not great shape before races. You have a ton of athletes racing to porta potties. They're out of toilet paper. You're up a river. These have saved me so many times in so many races because there's a porta potty that doesn't have any toilet paper, but I have my own baby wipes. Bring baby wipes. They're perfect. They will save you so much. They're great for after the race if you just want to wipe yourself off. If you're going to go grab, brunch or meal after your race, they're perfect. You can use these to just kind of wipe yourself off so you don't feel so gross, but these are a lifesaver. They are just a lifesaver. When you need these, they are great. Again, those porta potties get a bit rough. Sometimes you just need to clean some stuff off. Boom, you got some baby wipes. You're good to go. Put baby wipes in your gear bag. The number 3 thing, and a lot of other places have talked about this, super important: some type of a lamp, a headlamp. We almost always have our phones, so that's a go-to when you have your phone. But a headlamp's super useful just because you have your hands free. When you don't have your hands free, when you're trying to hold your phone and do something else, sometimes it just gets a little bit tricky. I don't know, depending on where you're at, the time of year, there's a good chance when you get to transition area, it's gonna be dark. This is gonna be a huge help. It's gonna be a huge help just to be able to set your transition area up, make sure everything's all dialed in. You have both your hands free so you can use your bike pump, you can fill your water bottles in the morning, all that stuff, without having to hold your phone and try to figure out how to do it with one phone. So grab a headlamp. There's a million different headlamps. I don't know if you're a dude, you probably have like 17 of these already. At least you should. I have more headlamps than I know what to do with. I don't know how I've got them, but I've got a lot of headlamps. So just throw a headlamp in your bag. If you use it, you use it. If you don't, you don't. But it comes in handy when you need it. Another item, and this is kind of basic, but we've talked about this in other places: some type of body glide, some type of anti-chafe. Obvious why you need that. You need to keep yourself from chafing. Cover your feet, cover your undercarriage, all your parts, but also baby powder. Baby powder is huge. I use this at every single race I go to. I put it in my shoes, or if I'm going to put socks on, I actually put it in my socks before I put my socks on. When your feet are wet, It's just gonna help you put your shoes on or your socks or both. It's a huge help to keep chafing down, and also really just helps you get into your shoes when your feet are wet. I don't wear socks for a lot of my races, so I use baby powder in all my shoes just because it helps me get my foot in and out. It keeps the chafing down. So does this. Obviously, this is obvious why you need it. It's not such an odd item, but this is an absolute necessity. Both of these things are with me at every single race. I use them every single race. You need to get these. Another item that's super useful to have, some type of a trash bag. Super useful. All your wet kit at the end of the day, you can throw in this, so then it's not just in your gear bag with everything else. You know, obviously like your wetsuit, things like that. I throw my wetsuit in a trash bag at the end of the race, so then it's not soaking all my other gear. Then when I get home, I can pull everything out and dry it out, and everything else is just soaked and covered. Also, if you just have trash and you don't have a place to put it, throw it in your trash bag, take it home with you. Don't leave it at the race event. That's a bit rough. Makes your sport look bad when you're just leaving trash around, when your transition area is a mess, when you leave the day. Take your trash with you, put it in a trash bag, put all your wet kit, all your dirty kit, whatever it is, you can put it in here, take it home, throw it in the laundry. Super simple, but take a trash bag with you, put it in your gear bag, take it with you everywhere. This last set of gear, I'm gonna say it's a bit personal and probably person to person. Not everyone's gonna wanna use these, but I have a lot of reasons for using earplugs for the swim, and none of them have to do with keeping water out of my ears. I don't really mind water getting in my ears. It doesn't really bother me at all. I've swam for a long time without them, and I do still swim without them, but earplugs for the most part, hear me out. A lot of times, especially if you're new to triathlon, which I assume if you're watching this video, you might be new. If you're new to triathlon, I think the swimming is by far the most intimidating part of the race. It's the beginning of the race in general, so your nerves are high. It's a swim. I think a lot of people are, especially if it's an open water swim, a lot of people are just uncomfortable. It's not a comfortable setting to be in the open water. You might not be as used to it as other people. It's a really intimidating thing. The one thing that I've learned through a lot of different sports, and I've actually picked this up when I used to race motorcycles, I started wearing earplugs. And I immediately realized that for me personally, when you can bring the volume of everything down, it helps you calm down. There's some good science to it. There's actually some good science to it, but again, it's person to person, and it has to do with how you process information. If you're not a super auditory person, it might not be as big of a problem for you. But I think it's worth a try, especially if you're new to triathlon, to try earplugs. When you can bring the volume of everything down, it will help you, in my opinion, it will help you calm down. It'll help you stay calm when that race gets started. It brings the noise of everything down. You can still hear just fine, but it just kind of mutes everything. It helps you kind of bring yourself within yourself and focus on you in the race. So this is one thing that I think is super important. Again, I think it's pretty personal. A lot of people might not like the feeling of how the earplugs, and that's going to cause a whole nother problem, but I highly suggest you give it a try and you feel it out, because swimming is just noisy. You have all this water, your head's in water. There's a lot of noise involved with it. And I think that kind of will create sometimes a bit of panic with people, because it's another thing that you're sensing in an already uncomfortable situation that feels a bit out of control. When you can kind of mute that volume and bring everything down, it's going to help you calm down, in my opinion. So try these out. Throw a set of earplugs in your gear bag, go for a swim in the pool, try it out at a race. But I highly suggest that you give these a try, not just for keeping water out of your ears, because you can get ear infections. That's a bit rough if you're swimming a ton, but it will help you, in my opinion, kind of calm down, stay within yourself, focus on the race, as opposed to getting a bit overwhelmed by the situation and everything else around you. So grab some earplugs. These are like wax, little one-time use things. You just jam in your ear, kind of fill it up, come out of the water. You can flip them off. You can throw them in you can drop them in your transition area and then use your trash bag to pick them up at the end of the day. Those are my odd sets of gear that I think you should absolutely have in your tri bag. They might not be something you're going to use every single triathlon, but they're super important when you do need them. They don't take up a lot of space. So it's not a big bulky thing to carry around, but you're never going to regret having these things in your gear bag. And when you do need them, they're going to come in huge. So hopefully this video has been useful. You've gotten some knowledge from it. These things are all pretty useful for me that I carry in my kit. Hopefully you like this video. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be putting out a lot more of these as the year goes on. And as my race season starts coming up, we're going to kind of cover that stuff and got some big stuff planned. So come along and we'll see you next time.